Major League Rugby is back. The wait is over. The 2025 season is upon us, and we have all the preview action you need with the one and only Matt McCarthy from Rugby Wrap-Up.
It is exciting times ahead, but rugby's been in the news everywhere. There's been so much good stuff. Did anyone watch that Six Nations action? Round 2 happened, some brilliant results. We're going to talk about some of those main headlines.
And Alona Maher was back doing what she does best, bulldozing her way over the try line as she helped keep Bristol Bears' playoff hopes alive.
So much rugby action to talk about here on the Rugby Rundown, and remembering it's coming to you on the Rugby Network.
Hello and welcome to the Rugby Rundown. I'm Alex Corbisiero, and joining me as always is Will the Thrill Hooley, and coming in off a big weekend of Super Bowl action. Before we get into the rugby, Will, got to start there. What did you make of it? How was your Super Bowl Sunday?
It was a great Super Bowl Sunday, thank you. We had a great week in our Super Bowl special. Big thanks, of course, to Lonnie Paxton and John Carney who were involved. Well, I was right. The Eagles destroyed the Chiefs. It was good stuff. You could say, in the end, it was a little bit sort of like a bit of a disappointment.
It was sad.
It was almost sad. Like so easy.
And what's painful, I think, is even rugby when you're losing, okay, it's bad, but it only lasts 80 minutes.
Oh, it just kept
this
going
thing
on.
just kept going. And the players on the bench, it was like a painful, slow, paper cut sort of death for the Chiefs. Shows how hard it is to do the three-peat. And, I had newfound respect for the long snappers.
Yes.
And especially the kickers.
Lonnie.
The Eagles kicker was on fire.
Elliott.
Hitting them through the middle. He hit over 50 yards. I was thinking about last week's show big time while I was watching it.
Yeah, very good indeed. Well done, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, by the way, for Eagle Eyes, you notice we're in a different studio. How do we not even talk about that to begin with? We're in the Corb studio, we like to call it at the moment. Different vibe, different feel, but it's looking good.
We're going bigger and better, as we said. Yeah, updated the studio, moved it to a new room, and really happy with what we got. Stay tuned, because a lot more surprises coming in the studio in the future as this show keeps going.
Don't give them away. Don't give them away. Yes, we need to talk about Major League Rugby calls, but before that, let's talk about something else that you've been involved in. The Six Nations has been on our screens, and there's been some brilliant results.
Yeah, what a round of Six Nations. The gift that keeps on giving for us rugby fans. Well, we had classic matchups. England v France, Le Crunch. That's probably the best game of Six Nations rugby I've seen in a long time. Back and forth action, England upsetting them, which was a huge win for them and Steve Borthwick's men. But really what it does is it opens the table open for Ireland. And they were in the driving seat as they went to Murrayfield and stomped the yard over there. And then the big news in Rome, Italy beating Wales. Back-to-back years, they've beaten them now. Ciao bella to Wales, Italia. What a result. My nana, who watches all my NBC rugby shows, was absolutely loving it, sending me messages. Couldn't believe Italy are winning after seeing how they've been over these last maybe 8-9 years of watching the Six Nations. Yeah, it was a cracker.
Well, it takes a break at the moment, but there's been some great matches in there. Alona Maher, we have to talk about her because she is doing well. 2 tries at the weekend. Bristol Bears are keeping their playoff hopes alive. They absolutely wiped the floor of Exeter Chiefs in this rearranged game. It was 45 points to 17. Alona scoring 2, and they're in the top 4 at the moment. Now, just to see that table, you'll notice that Saracens are in front of them and then Exeter Chiefs below them. They both have a game in hand. So although Bristol are there at the moment, they're sort of sitting in a position of unknown. Guess what game's coming this weekend on TRM+. 2:45 p.m. Eastern on Friday, Alona Maher's Bristol Bears in their last game of the season take on Harlequins at Harlequins. Bristol and Alona only have 1 round left of PWR action. We'll be bringing you all of that here on the Rugby Rundown, TRM+. Corbs, now let's get to MLR, because I know our viewers are wanting to talk about this, hear about this, whatever it might be. Major League Rugby, it's on ESPN. That's the big news. What do we think?
Huge statement for the growth of the game to be on ESPN+. Obviously, all the games in America will be on there. Internationally, you'll still be able to watch everything on the Rugby Network, as well as all our shoulder content and other properties that are on there. And what a moment. You're going to get Game of the Week linear on TV as well, which is a great, exposure window. ESPN, probably one of the flag bearers of American sports. And just joining the rugby family, it's good to see.
It's good indeed. Yeah, all games will be on ESPN Plus, and then selected games throughout the season will be on ESPN2. That is for people in USA and Sub-Saharan Africa, TRN for the rest of you around the world. Talking of which, this is a Major League Rugby preview special show, and we've got lots of exciting things coming up, because after this, Corbs, I go behind the scenes. I was at MLR Media Day, hearing from some of the stars from all the teams, how they are preparing and how they are getting ready for MLR 2025 season coming up. Say we're behind the scenes, so boys, how are we?
What's up, bro?
Christian Dyer, Rugby LA, Mr. Ethan McVie from DC. Boy, can I just squeeze in here? Why LA? Why the move from Houston, man?
Because the Cali kid had to come home. That's in a nutshell. That's why.
I love it.
No, but that was a big reason, was being closer to family and friends, and then to complement that, being with the new style attack that really suits my playing style.
You want to score tries? Are you saying that at Houston that you didn't like the style of play?
You know, after 1,000 box kick chases, I realized, I miss playing rugby with the ball in my hand.
Yes, understood.
And I thought LA was going to be the best route for that.
Ethan, my boy, I actually said you actually look in the best nick I've ever seen you. How's DC? How's it treating you?
Yeah, going really well at the moment.
Cold?
Yeah, pretty chilly. First 2 days of preseason, we were snowed out, so that's that was made up in the following 3 days. But it's going well. Yeah, no complaints.
Appreciate it, boys.
Yeah.
See you around. Have a good season. Mitch Wilson, my man. Good to see you, brother. You are not a Free Jack anymore, which is, I'm sure, for a lot of MLR fans, weird.
It's exciting though as well. I'm excited to be on a new team. I'm one of the oldest, so it's a different experience, but it's awesome, and it's good to be with a lot of young guys. Great energy that they bring.
Lads, how are we?
What's going on, brother?
Connor
Hooley.
Keys of the Free Jacks, and of course, Chance Maluski
How's it, brother?
of, I nearly forgot, Seattle Seahawks.
Everything's starting to mesh, and it's same old culture, same group of guys. Like it's exactly what you want it to be.
Are you kind of like feeding off last year, or is it kind of like fresh slate? You have to go again?
Yeah, feeding off it probably in a positive way, knowing that like everyone's going to be coming at us, and the same as it was last year. After the first year we won, everyone had their best game against us, I felt, and we had to show up every game. So it's kind of that same. It's probably even more so this year, where it's like we can't ever have a game off.
Like Seattle's been an amazing home for me this past year, and we're just trying to continue to build on what we started last year, and kind of reconstructing and rebranding ourselves in a sense to be prepared for the 2025 season.
Argentinian international, 96 taps. Thomas Cabello with me. How's the atmosphere in the Sharks going into year 2?
Yeah, this season 2 we took a lot of learnings from season 1. So we're really looking forward with some new additions.
A couple of Irish Americans in there. Carts, Nola Gold. Who would have thought you'd be on the streets of Bourbon? How's it going?
I don't think the locals go to Bourbon Street, so I'm
okay.
trying to blend in. But I've been.
You have not.
I have, yeah. I'm keeping my head down.
Oh, yeah?
Keeping my head down for a bit.
Is it okay?
It's a changed man.
been impressed with our attack. Even like obviously the organisation's been there for a while, so it's been good. Good group of boys. Assistant coach is really good.
Love it.
So yeah, just looking forward to getting into it.
You've also got a new coach, John Minetti. Talk to me how is he doing? Sevens background.
Yeah. We're working hard, to be fair.
Oh, yeah?
He's
You look fit.
Yeah, he's working us hard. We've been doing plenty of fitness, lots of games as well, lots of fun games, and working on our basic skills as well, which has been really good.
Does it feel fresh at Legion at the moment? New vibe, new players.
Yeah, it definitely feels fresh. There's been lots of change this year. It's gone for sort of a younger squad this year.
Nice.
So we've gone from sort of an older demographic to lots of young players who can play at sort of a higher speed, higher tempo, which is exciting.
I've got a man who's the size of a mountain, George Merrick, and I've got the beautiful Noah Brown.
I'm very excited. I feel like this is a WWE interview right now.
It is. Look at it. It's candy. How good is the setup at the Hounds? I feel like you boys this year, can you go another step further?
Yeah, we're going all the way, mate. We've probably got the best setup in the league, I'd say.
Yeah.
Facilities are great. Coaches are good. Boys are really good.
Couple of last teams we haven't met: a Houston Sabercat and a Utah Warrior. And there they come, delivered. Joe Mano, Ronan Murphy. You had an awesome season last year. I'm telling you that. Don't worry, you don't have to be humble. This year, though, Sabercats, bit of difference.
Yeah.
What's the sort of motto going in it? Just put Coach Pote, no Heineken Mayer.
Yeah.
What's the vibe?
Yeah, it's different with new coaches, obviously, but we got a lot of the same guys returning, so hopefully we can look to replicate what we had last year.
Was there any part of you which was like, you had the year of all years, and then it just went south in the playoffs? Fair to say that?
Yeah.
Is that annoying? You know?
Yeah, no, it was. I think Dallas was a great team. Shame what happened to them and all, but yeah, no, they just came up to the game more prepared than us, and obviously it was a huge blow for us. But that's rugby.
That's rugby, man. That's rugby. Utah Warriors, I love them, but deep down, I'm like, come on. Is this the year that's going to be into the playoffs and beyond? Get you on the score sheet again?
Yes, it is.
Conviction, man. Give me some conviction.
We signed a lot of new guys from New Zealand, Aussie. And yeah, I mean, preseason's going really well, and I think the boys are hungry for this season.
Well done, Will.
Thanks, mate.
That was pretty cool. Good on you, mate. Well, what a segment. Well, let's continue with the show. And next up, it is finally time for our MLR preview show. Big opening weekend coming up. And we went to one of the men in the know, one of the godfathers of rugby media in America, the one and only Matt McCarthy.
Yeah, we wanted to do this season preview with, let's be honest, one of the specialists in the world of rugby media here in the USA. It is none other than Rugby Wrap-Up's Matt McCarthy. Matt, thank you for coming on. How are you doing? Are you MLR ready or what?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm great. And yeah, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. Let's get going.
Well, let's get into it because we got you on the show for a very big reason, and that's obviously previewing this Major League Rugby season ahead. There's 6 in the East, 5 in the West. We're going to be cliche in saying this, and Matt, obviously, I've came on your show, the Rugby Wrap-Up, and said exactly the same sentence, and I said, this will be the most competitive season yet.
Absolutely. And we spoke about this. Dallas going down, unfortunate, but those players are spread throughout the league, and that was a good Dallas team. So 11 teams, yeah, a little bit of attrition. We started with 7, though, guys. Remember that. We're at 11. We started with 7, so we're okay, and the teams are better for it.
Love it. Well, look, let's get into it straight away because if we're going to take things, we might as well start in the West because obviously coming from a studio based here in San Diego. San Diego Legion, obviously in there, the Seattle Seawolves, Houston Sabercats, Utah Warriors, and then, of course, Rugby FC LA. That is how they are wanting to be called this season. West is best, Matt. Is that correct or what?
Well, it's deja vu all over again, right? We always say the West is the best, and you had New England win 2 in a row. Prior to that, you had New York sneak one in. So is the West the best? On paper, I think so.
And there's actually, you could say, not 3 new coaches because you got Pote Human, who was head coach, but now kind of takes the whole role at Houston Sabercats. You got Steve Hoyles. He's back. He's with the LA franchise in there as well. And then John Menenti at San Diego Legion. Matt, first and foremost, if you are going to just pick a top and bottom of the West, go ahead and tell me why.
I got to pick Houston as the top. I mean, 14-2. You had a hiccup against a good Dallas team, underestimated by us smart people in the pundit area. But Houston is a tough team. They're deep at every position, and this is a league of attrition, right? Over the course of 16 games. LA's had a very interesting offseason. Seattle is Seattle. I mean, they're getting players back from injury, and they're a big team, right? And they fortified that front row a little bit. They had problems with that last year. The two Malcolms went down in about an hour, right, with injuries, unfortunate injuries. And I think they learned their lesson there. San Diego, Alex, you know more about San Diego than I do, certainly, as a player coach of San Diego. Man, Utah, Will, you and I were talking about Utah. Utah is a dark place. There's no easy game. There's no easy game. And until we start playing them, everything that we say is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, you got out of that question very well.
That was politician-esque, man.
You didn't give me... So you think maybe Houston at the top.
Houston top, Houston on the top, and Utah last.
Corbs, go on, you step in here. And
you want me to predict the West?
I want you to have a look at the West. And I know you're going to put San Diego at the top, but realistically as well, everything's in there. Talk to me your feelings.
We should all have to drink anytime he says San Diego.
Honestly, it's a tough one. I'd like to say San Diego top. I think you've got to be realistic too. How do you look past Seattle and Houston on what the performances they had last year? That probably bumps LA down for me. And actually seeing Utah play on the weekend,
you saw the weekend.
They were impressive, mate. The new recruits, especially the foreigners, a very, very strong outing. They're a different outfit and they know it. And I think it will be interesting where they end up. But I'm just going to put my pundit hat on. If I was going to pick your favorite, I'd say Seattle. I think they travel more consistent. And then at the bottom, I would go LA purely. And I think San Diego will be swinging for it. But I think as a pundit, you got to look at percentages and favorites, and I prefer underdog status as well.
Guys, I'm going to bring you over towards the East because obviously the East very much, Matt, that was your realm, still is your realm, you could say. Now, again, East, when I think of Anthem, you always thought of them maybe at the bottom, but they have really recruited well. And I feel, again, I look at Chicago, recruited well. New Orleans, Danny Lee going from San Diego to, I think he's got a great squad he's put together. The Free Jacks, can they go 3P? And then Miami, they've got that South American sizzle. Look, again, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's your top? Who's your bottom in the East, you reckon?
This pains me to say it as a New Yorker, but I got to go with the team from Boston. I got to go with Quincy, Massachusetts, New England Free Jacks as the top in the East. Chicago's breathing right down their necks. Chicago's got a good roster. A very good roster, and they've got competition at positions too, which is always good if you're a coach, not necessarily a player, but that's a good thing, especially over this long season. Washington's a gamble.
DC, I know. No, I didn't even mention them. Like, where you never know what you're going to get from an Old Glory team.
Right, they're going with the continuity thing. Spoke to Simon Frost last week on the show, and he was like, "Yeah, we're all familiar with each other. We brought in some key additions in the back line because maybe our rugby IQ for the American players, although they're very athletic, wasn't there in terms of, the growth that they need. And now they got some guys from overseas in that back line. You brought in Jason Emery, which is a great pickup on and off the pitch in the clubhouse. Great guy. He can also slot in at 10 when he at need be. He did it with New York seamlessly. But not scrimmaging in the offseason, not having an exhibition match kind of worries me about Old Glory. They're going down to Miami. So they practice indoors for the most part. They do train outside sometimes, but at least if they're playing in Miami, they're not going to be freezing like they would be in New England.
So again,
right? So,
but again, you're missing the point here. Who's on top? Who's at bottom?
All right, New England's on top, and I'm going to go crazy here. I think that the Anthem has a shot to unseat Miami.
Yeah.
And maybe Miami might be the bottom
struggle.
I'm going to make it even bigger call. I think Anthem make the playoffs.
Oh!
I think that don't sleep on them.
If you look strength and depth, though.
Strength and depth is probably one of the big question marks. But you look at, they've added some hardware into that team. A number of Eagles moved in there. Sam Goller, Alex Morn, there's some pieces moving in there. They already had some good foreigners as well, like Joe Akapatoa and guys like that. But then you also got to remember the environment. They're well resourced with the deal they have. They have probably more coaches than any other team in the MLR. They have,
Kuka Cavalleri's gone there.
Kuka Cavalier coming from Dallas, who is one of the standout coaches, to add to the existing coaching staff, not to replace anyone. So I have a feeling Anthem are going to be a lot more competitive than maybe some people are giving them credit for. The East, to me, pretty stacked as well. I think Free Jacks probably, but there's something in my head saying Chicago might have it this year. And then if I'm going bottom, it's probably Miami or Old Glory. It's a toy cross between those two. I think if you got to remember, Miami last year were year one.
Yeah.
Year one. And we know you're starting from scratch. The fact they were even competitive is actually pretty impressive. So I do think you're going to see a considerable uptick on that they're a year two side. Where them and Old Glory fall is probably, a coin toss for me.
Well, look, the East looks as good as the West, then you could say. But let's get into the real part of the show, which I know a lot of our fans are excited to come back. It's the Crystal Ball Challenge, round 1 of Major League Rugby.
Who won the first season, just for the record?
Me, genuine.
There was no awards.
All right, yes, we've got Rugby Wrap-Ups, MLR Weekly's very own Matt McCarthy. So, far away, I'm going to go Matt first, Corbs, then me. I'm going to go last every time. It is beginning Miami against Old Glory on Saturday. Matt, what do you reckon?
Old Glory by 4.
Not the home team.
Miami by 3.
I am going to say Miami by 10 because DC haven't had a game. Literally, not even one preseason game. So they're going to find out the hard way. NOLA versus Anthem. I'm looking forward to having this, of course, on ESPN Plus and TRN if you're around the world. What do you reckon? New Orleans looking good, or the Anthem? We've been speaking them up. Matt, what do you reckon?
NOLA by 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go NOLA by 11.
And you say Anthem's getting the playoffs.
Yeah, but they need a couple games, mate. I think, again, year one team, year two, you're going to see an uptick. You're going to see growth.
I see NOLA, in the end, maybe actually a bit more convincingly than they think. I reckon I'm going to go New Orleans by 12. Let's take it to the last couple of games of Saturday. Houston versus Chicago. Big one. They actually played each other in pre-season, Matt, and, they got demolished, Chicago. But Houston at home against Chicago, thoughts?
I'm picking the home team. I'm picking the home team in a tight match. 4 points.
Houston by 4.
So I have a theory here, all right?
Here we go.
When you go to Houston, the wind is like no other field you're playing in this competition. But if you've done it once, it really does help you come back and have a better game plan. A la Dallas in the playoffs. Had that last season game against Houston, even though they lost convincingly in the win, you learn a lot about that field and how to play better. Then you come back again. So I'm going to be brave because I think to win this Crystal Ball Challenge this year, you're going to have to be brave. I'm going to go Chicago by 3.
I'm going to go Houston. I think they look strong. Preseason's gone well for them. They're at home, first home game of the season. And Chicago, I don't know, it was a bad exhibition game for them. I'm going to go Houston by 7. Right, let's finish with the last 2 games. Last one on the Saturday, LA versus Free Jacks. Oh, in California, it's a big travel for the Free Jacks' first game of the season. What do you reckon, Matt? Do they start off with a win?
Every time we ride off the Free Jacks on a cross-country trip, they win. I'm going to take the Free Jacks minus 3.
I'm going to go exactly the same as you on that one, Matt McCarthy. That's what my head was. I don't want to look past LA at all because I think they're really good. The coaching staff, the players recruited, but Free Jacks travel well. Sometimes they even go a day or 2 early. They're that sort of team that will prepare for those travels if they can. I don't know their schedule, but I think they have it in them to being defending champions to come in and start the season with a win. So I'll go by 3 as well.
There you go. I'm going to go against all of you and say it's in California. I'm liking the team culture. I was impressed by them in the preseason game. They play against San Diego. I think Steve Hoyles and his men will pick up a first-round win. I'm going to go LA by 5. And then finally, Sunday, San Diego are heading back to Torero Stadium, facing their arch rivals in the Seattle Seawolves. A game that I know personally well, Corbs knows well, but you are the most unbiased person to make comment. Matt McCarthy, who is taking that one?
Well, I like both organizations. They've always been good in the league, good for the league, and it's a great rivalry. But the X factor for me is Adrian Balfour, the owner of Seattle. He is going to be annoying me relentlessly if I pick against Seattle. So I'm going with Seattle by 3 in a tough match in front of a great San Diego Legion crowd.
I really try and play level-headed on all this, and I genuinely believe San Diego back at Torero as a first game of the season. I question Seattle as well. A home game against a Seattle club team. I don't know whether that actually does any good. And I also think, no Mac Mason. It's a brand new 9-10 partnership. I am going to go with the Legion for this one by 3.
I'm going to go my usual Legion by 1. I think Seattle deserve all the respect in the world. I know that there's a rivalry there, so I think they know that we'll be really up for it, as I know they will be. I think the atmosphere in Torero is going to be rocking, so I think it will make it a tasty game. Probably down to who just plays better on the day, but I'm going to go San Diego Legion by 1 and just pray to the rugby gods.
On that note, that is our Crystal Ball Challenge Week 1 with our great guest in Matt McCarthy, Rugby Wrap-Ups, MLR Weekly's hero. Matt, thank you for joining us. One last one. Who's winning the whole thing?
New England.
Oh, such a
slow for the 3-piece.
Slow answer. Just give it a
Because
straight
I don't
result.
want to. I'm a New Yorker. I'm picking a team from New England. It goes against my very fiber.
Oh, my word. Yeah, really on that note. Matt, thanks for joining us on the Rugby Rundown. All the best.
Thank you. You too, boys.
Predictions are all in. We're all set. We are all set. Major League Rugby coming on ESPN Plus and, of course, TRN from around the world. Great to hear from Matt McCarthy.
Always a good time.
He always has an opinion, which I love about him. A reminder, though, other stuff that is coming up on the Rugby Network. TRN Plus has got Rugby Premiership Rugby Cup action. That's Harlequins versus Saracens. That's coming up on Saturday. Also a reminder, the weekend, we've got Life against Lindenwood. That college is going to be hotting up in the CRAA. We will be bringing much more of that as the weeks go on. But MLR is very much the talking point, man. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready, mate. Come on, just bring it.
That's all from us here on the Rugby Rundown. Get involved, watch MLR action. It's going to be a great season ahead from us. We'll see you next week.